It has not been a great couple of years for Uber in the EU, and it has not been a great couple of years for Uber in Europe, and this does not help one bit. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here and you have to like the videos I make, please do me a favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell notification. We upload on a near daily basis, and you will want to be notified of videos, premieres, and live streams when they go up. Let's get into this. Uber has been suffering in Europe. They have had their license pulled by the TfL. They have mistrust with their drivers and passengers. Their security and safety measures have been brought into question. What's more, they have a rival in Europe called Bolt. And Bolt does everything Uber does, and they are so much better at it, not only from a technological perspective, but as a moral company. They seem just a heck of a lot nicer to deal with overall. This isn't me making it up. These are just the facts. These are how I am interpreting what I read when I read these articles. Granted, these articles might have a grind, or a grudge, I should say, against Uber. So that's possible, I admit. But hey, here's another fact though. The EU is backing taxi app Bolt to help it compete with Uber. This is the European Investment Bank, and they have invested them with a $56 million venture loan to help compete with Uber. And the financing will be used to invest in ride-hailing and food delivery, which are key services also provided by Uber. And obviously that means the competition is going to heat up. And here's where we start having some issues with Uber, because Bolt is local, it's loved, it's getting investment money, and they can expand, they can do things. They can do things that Uber can't do because Uber right now is fighting a legal battle to stay in the country. Their license was revoked, and they would have normally had to leave, but they decided to appeal the case, and as a result, they are still in London. Now, they might ultimately stay in London, but while that is going on, I don't think they can do much to grow their business. And all this time, you have Bolt, and they are going to have the home front advantage, and they can grow, and they're just getting good press, and Uber is not. So let's look at this article. Bolt, the European challenger to ride-hailing giant Uber, has secured 50 million euros, about $56 million, in debt financing from the lending arm of the EU. The European Investment Bank, or EIB, has invested in Bolt through a venture loan, which is used as an alternative to taking equity in a startup to avoid diluting existing shareholders' ownership. Tallinn, Estonia-based Bolt is one of several firms looking to chip away at Uber's dominance in the ride-hailing space. Founded in 2013, the firm was initially called Taxify, which I talked about, but has since changed its branding to offer more services like scooter sharing and food delivery. It also, I want to remind people, was renamed from Taxify because if your name of the company is called Taxi something, that means you're a transportation service. That means you have to be regulated by transportation regulations. They kind of realized their screw up pretty quickly. So after like a couple days, I think it was really like 48 hours or something like that, it was crazy. They just ceased services. Like, oh, no, we found a complication. We got to cease services. And that complication was they could not make the argument. So like Bolt does the same things that Uber and Lyft do. Let's not pretend they don't. All these companies want to become transportation services without playing by the transportation service rulebook. And by renaming them from Taxify to Bolt, like Uber, which launched as Uber Cab and then became just Uber, that's a little technicality in which you can get around. They, by the way, have 30 million users in 150 cities. The strategic financing from the EIB will help Bolt ramp up spending on research and development to make its services safer and more sustainable while also maintaining operational efficiency, Bolt and the EIB said in a joint statement Thursday. That would be important. Here's the thing. If Bolt takes that money and they invest it in the service itself, like they invest in making the service safer, the background checks more thorough, making sure that maybe the drivers have the right cars on the road instead of like pipe dreams, like the self-driving car, then that would go a long way to not only making them look better as a company, but it might put them in a better position to be profitable down the road. This also means investing in Bolt's main line of business, ride-hailing, as well as food delivery, which it added to its platform last year. Both services are key to the company's bids to take on Uber, its Silicon Valley competitor. So, and it's mention some of the things we talk about here, like how Uber was blocked from operating in London, and the specific type of funding the EIB is granting Bolt is what's known as a quasi-equity debt facility. According to the lender, the financial return of such loans is calculated as a percentage of a company's future revenue streams, preventing equity dilution. So, for those of you who are into finances, there you go. By the way, they consider Bolt to be a unicorn company, although so far none of the unicorn companies have actually been unicorn companies. We're talking about Uber, Lyft, WeWork, Slack, Pinterest, Blue Apron. None of these companies have become... Actually, the only two companies that end up becoming unicorns so far that are on their way is Beyond Meat and Impossible Meat, because vegan burgers are on the rise. It's like the bearded Uber guy, the good one, not the jackass out there, but the good one actually is invested in them. I've been watching his investment, and he's making a lot of his money back. He's making a lot of his money back. So he actually encouraged me to invest in those companies, and so far they're doing pretty good. But yeah, they were not considered a unicorn. Like, the funny thing about unicorn companies, when you really have to stop and think about it, is a unicorn company rarely becomes a unicorn because people are expecting it. They don't. I mean, when PayPal spun off from eBay, no one expected it would become a unicorn because it's PayPal. It's been around for years, and if PayPal couldn't turn eBay's fortunes around to becoming like a dominant player, why would they do it on their own? Well, they did, and their stock is worth so much more. Heck, it wouldn't be too surprising if one day PayPal bought eBay, and there would be a reversal of fortune. Like that sure seems like some robbing Peter to pay Paul type of stuff going on. But anyway, so yeah, that's where we are right now. Bolt has a new investment. Uber is still fighting their legal battles. This could get really ugly over there. And I'd like to know, what about you? What do you think of all of this? Do you think Uber can compete with Bolt, or do you think they are actually going to lose that market to the local competition? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.